Morning, guys. Wanted to give you a quick heads up on Excel 5. So coming down from Excel 4, this is going to feel pretty straightforward. There's not 400 sheets, and there's just a couple of things to do. I want to teach you about autofill and writing your own formulas here. We're just doing some math for absolute relative change. You're getting practice with that. There's some critical thinking here that has to go into the Johnson to Green, which is a geographical change, not a chronological change. And then at the end, trying to justify your response based on this idea about looking at a county and the income, the median income in the county. So let me do what I normally do, which is just kind of open up a new sheet here. So, and this kind of applies to the project that you started working on today or recently. Let's say I have, you know, 2 columns, and for whatever reason, I want to multiply these together. So I just click on this cell, the times button. I can do Shift 8, or I can do the little keyboard on the side, depending on what your keyboard looks like. Okay, so I literally just write what I would type in my calculator. Instead of saying 2 and 6, I'm saying A2 and B2. Okay, so it gives me the answer. Now here's the sweet thing about Excel. If I want to keep doing that same calculation, I don't have to keep typing the formula. I can tell Excel to write the formula for me based on this one. So I click on this cell one time, not a double click, just one click, and I move my cursor to the corner here. Now see how it changed? This is a fat white cross, this is a thin black cross. There's a third type of thing, which could be the cross with the arrows on it. But what we want here is this bottom right corner. Okay, so then I left click and drag down, and what it does is it rewrites the formula for me. So you see here it's A2 times B2, now it's A3 times B3, and A4 times B4. So Excel is like smart, well, not that smart, but it's pretty smart, thinking about how you intend to change these based on the formula that you wrote. Okay, so that's called autofill. Go to the, click on the cell you want to autofill, go to the bottom right corner, drag down. So you're going to use that here, or you can use it. I mean, you can write these formulas over and over again, but since we're basically doing the same thing here and here, you know, we'll be in good shape. Now, let's just talk about, I'm going to get rid of these. So you know that absolute change is just looking at the difference, right? And you can say the new minus the old. So here we would just take this one minus this one, right? And then the relative change could be thought of 2 ways. We could do new minus the old and then divide it by the old. And then we could also think about it as relative change equals the absolute change divided by the old value. So I take the absolute change divided by the old value. Now, hey there, these two things aren't the same. What happened? Well, we had an error here. This looks okay, but it's not written correctly from Excel standpoint and also from a calculator standpoint. And that's because division happens first. So what I'm actually doing here is taking 2 divided by 2, which is 1, and then I'm doing 6 minus 1, which is 5. So that's where 5 came from. If you want to use this formula, you have to use parentheses here to tell Excel, do the subtraction first, and then we'll divide, and they match. Okay, I would recommend using this because it seems like a more direct way to do it. You've already done the absolute change calculation. You don't have to do it again. Just divide by the old value, and that gives you the relative change. And of course, from there, you can autofill. Okay. Now remember that in geographic change, I think a good way to think about that is going from one place, that's the old, to the new place, which is obviously the new. So if you think about that directionally, like I started here, I'm going here, then you should be able to connect up which one is old and which one's new. And some of these might be formatted as percentage. Like I see this is already, these cells here are already percentage. I think this one is general. If you want to change the relative change here to percentage, remember you've got this percentage button here. And then you're just answering this question. Would you rather have high income or low income? That's probably what you're going to base your answer on. So you can either look at the absolute, like the value of the income in 2017. You can look at how it changed absolutely, or you could look at how it changed relatively. You've got three different numbers you can base it off of. I would not base it off of what it was in 2010. That's fairly old at this point. Okay, cool. That's it. Save, submit, turn it in. You're good to go.